Hey, it's Steve. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Bled in, bled out. Anyway, we've got a gentleman talking about, well, the top 10 red flags we need to look at in ladies. This is a first viewing, so I don't really know. I did hear the first 10 seconds of the first point that he makes. Beyond that, I really don't know what he's going to say, so let's dive in.
What are the 20 flags? It's in your book. You know, everybody go get the book. That's just a small piece. But when you go meet a woman, what are the 20 flags that you look for?
All right, so
you don't have to give all 20.
Red flags.
You don't have to give all 20, but some of them.
Okay, so let's do 10?
Yeah, the twisted 10. Yeah, the twisted 10.
Okay, so let's twist 10. So number one is daddy issues. She doesn't have a good relationship with her father. If a woman doesn't have a good relationship with the man of the house, the guy that, she supposedly grew up with him, how do you expect her to respect and honor you as a man in a relationship or as a father of children if you guys are going to have kids? It rarely happens. The other problem too with daddy issues is these women tend to have borderline personality disorder or BPD, and one of the things that is connected with that is they have a fear of abandonment, and they tend to act out in ways that make abandonment certain, if you can put it that way. I expand on a little bit more in the chapter, but I'll keep going. Feminists, most women today, if they identify as a feminist, they're...
Okay, so before we go into the feminists, just trying to think about, daddy issues, or just kind of, you're blessed to have a father in the household these days, you know what I mean? The way that society and financial incentives and housing incentives, the whole thing kind of incentivizes ladies in the UK anyway to not have a man, to exclude a man, let alone the whole kind of culture of kind of men are evil. You know what I mean? So sadly, it's getting towards being a big ask that a man is involved at all. And once a man has been excluded from a family unit, it's going to be difficult at best and limited at most about his impact on his daughter's life in this example. So really... daddy issues, I see why he's saying it, and it may well be true, but that's not a red flag for me in itself, but it may well come through in other ways. You know what I mean? Her attitude towards something, her balanced attitude towards a relationship at all, usually going into that bracket of kind of unrealistic expectations and toxicity in a way. But I would call that what it is directly, more so than put it down to the daddy thing for the reasons that I said. But interesting. We will rewind a little bit just so we don't miss, and then go on to point number 2.
They tend to act out in ways that make abandonment certain, if you can put it that way. I expand on a little bit more in the chapter, but I'll keep going. Feminists, most women today, if they identify as a feminist, they're the version of toxic feminism, where they don't actually seek any kind of equality with men. In actuality, I think we've been equal for years now, for decades even. Like, there's really nothing a woman can't do that a man can't do. It's just that they find ways to embrace victimhood. The common talking point is something along the lines of, well, women only make 75 cents on every dollar that a man makes. But they refuse to take into account that, well, when you factor in a man's income versus a woman's income, men tend to take more dangerous jobs, work longer hours, commute further, experience more workplace injuries. Like, I don't see any push from feminists to move women into coal mines and garbage trucks and oil rigs, but they push to move them into the boardroom as positions like CEOs. So there's a bit of a disconnect. If you have a victim mindset, it's kind of a loser's mindset. And whenever you embrace a victim's mindset, you need to have an oppressor. So guess who the oppressor is going to be? You're a man, it's going to be you at some point. So, if you want an easy, certain, happy, pleasant life, generally speaking, stay away from women that identify as feminists.
100%. If she leads with it, then obviously, listen, blatant red flag. If she's going to make you, as I said, the epitome of everything that's wrong in her life, you know what I mean, then that's it. So it doesn't come down to other decisions that they've made, or they kind of look into these vague general statistics. The statistics, as he said, were based on average incomes just across the board, as I understand it anyway. So it doesn't factor in that a lot of the time, if a lady's going to be at home, generally looking after the kids, which is what women generally, I'm not saying everybody, don't shoot me please, I'm not talking everybody, but most people would say, in most households, they were raised by their mothers primarily, yeah? So if they're raised by their mothers primarily, there's only so many hours they could put into the workforce, yeah? Which is just follows on. And if that is the case, that they're only working part-time hours, their take-home pay is going to be less than somebody working, I don't know, full-time hours, or full-time hours plus overtime. I think we can all accept that. And we can't get away from the choices of careers that people want to go into as well. Some of those may well be better paid than others. There's a lot of things, very complicated. But yeah, if somebody's leading with a divisive kind of stance on things, definite red flag. If she's just kind of, listen, if she's looking for true equality, which to say does go against this kind of overt F word that he mentioned, I don't really want to mention myself just because of other reasons. if you're overtly saying it, then really you haven't got that kind of even stance a lot of the time. There's other ways you would have put that forwards if you just wanted equality. You know what I mean? Not because we're already in a damn near equal system, because nothing will be perfection. So yeah, definitely somebody's leaning with that. You only just seen the tip of the iceberg about what you're going to be disagreeing about, and those are two divisive elements in order to sustain a relationship. So not for me.
Women that compete with you. I don't know if you've ever dated one of these boss girls, one of these strong, boss ladies.
Oh, yeah.
But my house is bigger than yours. My car's nicer than your car. I've got that. It's like, look, I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here to compete with myself. And if you think that I want competition from an unpleasant woman, you got another thing coming. So I advise guys, especially guys that are like me, chasing excellence, put it in debt in the universe, and make a lot of money to do something with their life. Stay away from those boss girls that try to compete with you. Women that keep
trying to compete. I don't know. I don't think I met any of those trying to compete. Let me hear what he says one more time, and I can try and put it to somebody, to an example.
Than yours. My car's nicer than your car. I've got that. It's like, look, I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here to compete with myself. And if you think that I want competition from an unpleasant woman, you got another thing coming. So I advise guys, especially guys that are like me, chasing excellence, put it in debt in the universe, and make a lot of money to do something with their life. Stay away from those boss girls that try to compete with you.
I've got a nicer car, I've got a nicer house, and somehow that's competition. I mean, in terms of, I haven't seen those examples. I've never heard of those examples from me or my kind of network of people that compete on those levels. Anyway, let's see what else he's got to say.
Women that keep guys from their past around. You ever dated a woman and she says, "Oh, I'm going to go out to lunch with my ex-boyfriend tomorrow," or something like that? Really? Not on my watch. Look, if you're going to try to claim me and you want to be in a relationship with me, and you don't want me to see any other girls, I'm sorry, but you're not able to hang out with ex-boyfriends from your past. No good ever comes from putting your girlfriend or your wife in a room with another man that she was intimate with in her past. So that's something that you have to consider.
Yeah, that's an obvious. Luckily, I mean, yeah, when you're really young, maybe they may mention something along those lines. So I wasn't dating really young, not seriously anyway, so I don't really know is the answer. So maybe that's other people's experience. And every so often you meet a crazy girl who does say that they try and maintain friendships with exes. Yeah, really? Yeah, of course that's a red flag. Maybe you're holding on to a dead relationship that's gone into your current relationship. Is that going to be positive, or is that going to be toxic? Let me think about it. Stupid, isn't it? It's just stupid. But yeah, definite red flag.
Violence. A woman that's violent, she's got violent tendencies. I wouldn't even, like, some guys would be like, "Oh, well, you can just make her friends with benefits." Not if she starts throwing things at you and the police need to get called, because it's not her that they'll take away in handcuffs. It's probably going to be you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So stay away from violence.
Yeah, violent women. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you said, who's anybody going to be believed? Mud sticks. Oh my gosh, maybe you get her pregnant and then you got that for life. Well, congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. There's no good news that will come from that. There's no good news that will come from that. Just say no. Just say there's other fish, please.
Women, tattoos and piercings is always a controversial one. I would probably add extended, ridiculous dagger nails to that now, which seems to be a more common thing today.
And why is that a flag? Why would that be a flag?
The dagger nails or the tattoos?
Both. Well, I can see with the tattoos, but the dagger nails, I mean, they just scare me.
Yeah, well, there's that, right? But I mean, like tattoos are typically a masculine trait, right? Like historically, tribal, masculine men would get tattooed for those reasons. So when women start to do it, like this version of culture and society today convinces women to be more masculinized. And I think that women getting tattooed now, getting sleeve tattoos and lots of tattoos all over their bodies is a sign of them trying to be more like men. Historically, like even when I was a kid, teenage years, 20 years, my 20s, there was no women covered in tattoos. It was very rare. Like the odd I remember I had a girl from my 20s. She had a tattoo of her heart in her bikini line. That was it. And that was like, oh, that's taboo sort of thing. And then they moved into the tramp stamps and it sort of went from there. But tattoos just show a lack of taste. It's like putting bumper stickers all over a Lamborghini. You just don't do it, right?
Right.
Women are beautiful by nature. Why would you go and like draw all over their bodies? Let alone, believe it or not, what happens between tattoo artists and women that they tattoo. I've talked.
Okay, before tattoos, yeah, I mean that's an acquired taste. If you are a tattoo man yourself, I doubt if you will be put off by tattoos on a lady. If you are not a tattoo person yourself, then you are definitely not looking for somebody who's tattooed up most of the time, I guess. Again, I'm not saying everybody, but just definitely the vast average. The vast average. And also where what the tattoo is. You don't want some lady who's got like some kind of skull, and that's more of a man thing, but I'll just use it as an example. Or they might have wings just above their breasts here. Tramps, oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh, something at the back. You know what I mean? And no, it just puts too many people off. It's just it's I don't know if it's a red flag, but I think it's definite risky, a lifetime risky move in terms of having a long-term relationship. You know what I mean? So I think it's risky for a man to do, but it could really be end game for a woman to do, and most guys don't like it. I'm not a fan myself either. Let's move on.
A lot of tattoo artists, and they get intimate a lot of the times too. So there's that.
And Rich,
Should I keep going?
Yeah. When I
Does
was,
that give you enough of a taste?
No, I love it. When I was growing up, you know, whatever. When I was growing up, if you like, I'm from Italy, so you can imagine how my parents were.
Yeah.
So if a woman had a tattoo, automatically trash, yeah. No good, you know, not good to be a mother of your children, that type of thing. And then all of a sudden, like you said, you know, the women needed more rights and this and that, and the tattoos, and then the piercings. That's got to be one of them too. Like when they got piercings everywhere.
Piercings, lots of piercings, yeah, septum piercing, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
And then if you're a successful businessman like yourself and others, you know, when you go to a meeting or go to dinner with somebody else who's, say, more successful than you, that you're trying to make a deal with or whatever, and here comes your partner tattooed up, or an earring or a diamond in their cheek, automatically, in my opinion, you might as well kiss that deal goodbye.
Well, it's like I said, I mean, you might as well show up at that business meeting without her, but drive a Lambo that's covered in bumper stickers.
Right.
He's going to look at you like you're some kind of an idiot. Like, why do you make these choices? I don't want to invite you into this business deal, right?
Dead. Yeah,
it's only rational.
Keep going. I love them.
Okay, well, you tell me when to stop. Big notch counts.
Big notch.
So this notion of the red flags is more sensible for guys looking for a girlfriend, a long-term relationship, or the mother for their kids. If you just want to have fun, it doesn't matter. You know, if she's got experience, she's been with 50 guys, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, there's lots of studies out there. I think the Teachman study is probably the most prolific one. You can go look it up. But they studied the effect of past sexual partners on a woman's ability to pair bond in a strong way to a guy over a long-term basis. So what that basically works out to is a woman that's been with 20 guys is less able to stay happily married to a guy than a woman that was a virgin or maybe had one sexual partner. Another component of that study revealed that the younger they are when they lose their virginity, the less likely they are to experience happiness in a long-term relationship in a marriage, you know, for example. So a woman that's got, again, 20 sexual partners from the age of 14 is a worse choice than a woman that lost her virginity at 23, stayed with the same guy for 7 years. You met her at 30 and she's got one notch count, right? So it's something that you have to contemplate. That's a very uncomfortable conversation, especially in today's world, because when you start saying, well, I don't like promiscuous women, then women start saying, well, you're a misogynist, or why do you hate women? Or if men can do it, then why can't women do it too? And the fact of the matter is they can do it, and they do it. It's just, if you're a smart guy and you're going to invite a woman into your life, you're better off being sensible about selecting a better mate that's a better choice, right? Women that have more notches, higher instances of STDs, abortions, they generally bring kids in tows from past relationships because they've had so much sex. Plus, there's the baggage issue, right? Yeah. You know for a fact that if you're my age and you date a woman around my age, she's got a lot more baggage than a woman that's 21 years old that's probably been with nobody or maybe one guy. There's more of, he hurt me, he cheated on me, he did this to me. They don't really deal with that stuff. They like to put it in a burlap bag. It's like an invisible brick. I say that they write words on it like resentment or guilt, and they put it in a burlap bag and they carry it around like it's some sort of prize. Nobody sees it, nobody cares, and they don't want to put it down and walk away from it. So notch counts is something to consider as well. You want to continue?
Yeah.
Obviously. You know what I mean? I don't want to get drawn into the correlations that the earlier that you kind of lose your virginity, the less likely you're going to have relations. It's just correlations. There's no kind of real deep dive or deeper thought on that type of things. I don't want to give that too much airtime, too much space. Because that is that which was mentioned. Yeah, I would have to do a deeper dive. I'd have to think about the reasons why people want to especially ladies, I guess, as we were talking about, they want to stay out there just kind of getting those notches and notches and notches and notches, and whether you want to turn that pawn into a housewife, you know what I mean? But we are in 2024. Yeah, well, obviously it's not a good thing, but I don't think it would put me off. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll be looking to other things other than that. You know what I mean? Because we all have a past, and as long as she hasn't made any permanent mistakes, STDs and racking up kids and things like that, as long as she hasn't done that, I think we could probably find a middle ground for sure. How would you even know that she's racked up that kind of the notches anyway, unless you ask a question that you should never ask? You know what I mean? Or if you think going into it that she's very promiscuous, or you got her a little bit too easy, then she was never in the reckoning anyway. Which is a different way of going about the same point, but or a similar point. Anyway, let's move on.
And told they're the one with you, and then you decide, okay, this is the one, and that bag that she's been carrying that you can't see, it all comes out on you.
You have to carry around.
Yeah,
exactly.
You get the hit with it. Now, what about their friends around them? You know, you meet a lot of women. They got all these dramacidal friends, and they tell their friends, especially nowadays with the phone and social media, everything that goes on, and they ask your opinion. You know, you're rich. I mean, you have the background to prove it, but then they have to hear from 20 other people. They ask the same question to 20 other people when they just asked you, because it's as if they want to hear that what they had originally thought was right. Then they go around to these dramacidal friends and do all this craziness. And
so I call that their committee.
Their committee.
So all women have a committee that they like to run ideas up the flagpole and see if their committee salutes it or not. You see this a lot of the times online on discussion forums, like Reddit, for example, would be a good example. There's even these sub forums where these women sort of collaborate together, and they're like, I have this problem with my boyfriend and he doesn't want to sort of thing, and what does everybody think? And it's like the committee then piles in. So it could be an in real life committee where it's the girlfriends, the gals that they hang out with and they drink wine, or they go out from time to time and have dinner. It could be an online committee, but at the end of the day, all women have a committee, and ideally, if you're the right guy and you're strong and you're virtuous and you know how to lead the relationship, women will tend to abandon that committee and enter your frame and be a compliment to your life. So I'm not saying that you need to tell her to abandon a committee, but if she has one, you want to make sure that it's a reasonable committee, not a bunch of angry, man-hating, purple-haired feminists that are just going to tell her to dump you and move on to the next girl because you can always do better.
Rich, I feel like the committee always is, they're the ones that they hate their lives. So if they see that their friend is somewhat happy, but everybody's got problems in their relationships, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's not good. You should dump them tomorrow. This isn't good, because they're miserable.
Yeah, like misery loves company, and a lot of the times, because women are hypergamous, they want to get their best option. They don't always want their girlfriends to be happy, though, which is kind of funny. I don't think women see this until they actually see it at some point, but it's not always good for a woman to always rely on a committee of women, especially when you consider the source. If the source is they've been divorced 3 times, or she's got 3 kids from 2 different fathers, I'd be asking questions like, really, these are the people that you rely on for your life advice? So there's that to consider, too.
Yeah, Rich, that's a big one. That's a big one because...
Yeah, it kind of is a big one, but at the same time... I don't know what you can do about it. I mean, we're going to say, oh, don't see your friends. How's that conversation going to go down? Oh, don't see your hated friends. Is that going to go down any better? Don't think so. The only thing you can really do, well, you can't do anything. She's not in the right place, and you're not going to know. You're not going to get to know her well enough in order to kind of have any influence on anything other than taking yourself out of that situation. I was thinking about this not too long ago in relation to a situation that came about with one of my friends. And it was basically, I just had a thought. It was kind of, I wonder if this person, or the right thing to say would be, how much do you, I could see, listen, you guys this is how I would kind of try and phrase it, rightly or wrong, I'm just thinking on the spot. I can see you guys got on really well. Okay, so does she make your decisions for you, or do you make those decisions for yourself? Obviously, listen, you're on a loser. Well, you're on a loser anyway, because this is somebody who will not make up their own minds, you know what I mean? But can't win. Definite red flag. But it's one of those things which won't ever reach potential, because she will get taken away one reason or another. We've all been there a million times. Let's go forward.
I have a lot of friends in this situation. You got any tips on how you would go about saying to that individual, hey, honey,
drop the committee.
Yeah, these people that you're hanging around with, that are talking to all the time, that you tell everything in the planet to, and you take their advice, and then it turns into a wreck at home. What are some tips for like a guy who maybe has a kid or two, and how do you just somewhat break that committee? Because that's like going against World War III.
It can be. If you try to break a woman up from her friends, it can turn into something quite dramatic. I wouldn't encourage to turn into a battle, even to result to some sort of negotiation, because whenever you try to negotiate with women, it just results in obligated compliance, which later on down the road ends up in resentment towards you. Yep. So, I think the best way to handle stuff like that is to be a guy in your purpose. You're putting a dent in the universe. You're doing something of some significance in the world. She sees that. She sees that you're influential. She sees that you're competent. She sees that you've got a great social network. You do cool things. You've got a boat. You travel. You're that guy. And all you have to do is say, hey, I don't take women seriously that do this. Anytime a woman does something that is perhaps red flag based or potentially tied into red flags, all you have to do is like, if she likes the nightclub, for example, right? Then all you have to do is say, look, you want my commitment. You've asked to claim me. I don't take women seriously that go out to nightclubs every weekend. Let her decide what to do from then. If she keeps doing it, then you know what you need to do. You just move on and you just replace her, sort of thing. Or you just spend less time with her. You don't take her seriously. You keep her at arm's length. So you would be able to do the same thing with a committed.
I like how he phrased that. So literally, you have to be somewhere anyway. Listen, if you're just starting off and you're never gonna get the opportunity because she's got what we call in London a hater friend, a friend that just is a hater is gonna take her away from them. Dragging her off and she's never available, and just putting these things in her mind. That's that. But yeah, so if you're going to phrase it and say this is the low odds it's going to go anywhere, but if you're going to phrase it in any way, I don't take women seriously that, just a little bit too swayed and can't make up their own minds about something. Of course, people ask other people's opinion from time to time, but, as adults, I would expect that you could make up your own mind. You know what I mean? So who am I dating? You or her? Or all your friends? So I'm not looking for, listen, I'm already thinking that this would never be me. That's why I don't really know what to say, because I don't want to overthink my relationship in that way. It just wouldn't have a future. But it's like, who am I dating? I'm dating you or your friends. I'm not looking to get on the wrong side of your friends at all. But for us to have a chance, we need to go about this in the most fair-minded way. I really like you, but at the same time, I can't win over you and all your committee, your friends at the same time. That's just obviously too much to do. You know what I mean? They're not even in our relationship. I don't know what's going on. Listen, that's got no future. Definite red flag. I take your point, kind sir. Hopefully you meet somebody who's mature enough who can recognise what's going on in their life and how they're being manipulated to not really give any future relationship a chance. And if that person is not already there, let it go. Red flag, absolutely.
Take women seriously that spend time hanging around with people that offer terrible advice, that live terrible lives. Might be the way to handle something like that. But that's all you have to do.
But when they come home with it or they get off the phone with it, I've seen probably 5-6 marriages. They've had kids. They were getting along at first, the honeymoon phase. Yeah. Then they get to know each other, and then the girl is constantly on the phone telling them everything. In-house, she's not going out. And the guy would say, like, he doesn't really have enough balls, but he says in a nice kind of way, hey, look who you're talking to and taking advice from. And the woman would not. And then they end up in a custody battle, alimony.
Yeah, that's why you got to vet for all that before you put babies in her. See, that's a mistake that men make is first pretty girl that touches her pee-pee, they get excited. Let's get married. Let's have a honeymoon. Let's have a big party. They don't have a lot of experience. Like, they don't think about red flags. Like, most of the guys that read my book and leave a review, the most common comment I get is, I wish I saw this shit 20 years ago.
I wish I saw this shit 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I can't put your friends in a time machine and send them back to vet for a better woman. So it's almost impossible to do after you're married. So this is something that you have to take seriously when you're thinking about having kids, if you want to invite a woman into your life, and set healthy boundaries, because that's all you're doing. If I'm dating a woman and I see 3-4 months in, she's getting bad advice from loser women that have terrible lives, that have nothing to show for it, then I would just simply say something along the lines of, hey, I know that you like me, sort of thing, and I dig your vibe and all that sort of stuff, but I don't take women seriously that surround themselves with losers. Might be the way that you handle it if you want to make a strong statement, right?
But if you went for that, if you went for the pussy and you got nailed and you're stuck in it, is it better just to walk away from it and be done with it, or argue for the next 30 years?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I do get a lot of people that book me for coaching consults to talk about that, and there's never an easy answer. What I've found is a lot of the guys that have a lot of money and are real busy with their life, they might be running multiple businesses. They don't care. They just call it a loss. They've got their 4 kids out of the way. The marriage isn't working out. The wife is too difficult to be around, or she's not attractive, to him anymore. He knows he can do better. Maybe he is doing better, at that point. And it's just untie the knot, pay your dues, give up half.
I totally hear what he's saying now. I do think that probably is the way it's going to pan out. If somebody chooses the path of toxicity and they go too far down that path for too long, you know what I mean? You might put up with it. You might put up with it for a short period of time, but you're not going to put up with it for a long period of time. And once you've crossed that boundary and somebody's more or less given up on the whole relationship, especially if you're not as attractive as you are, you know what I mean? All these things, it hurt, especially if she's not as attractive as she once was, and she's not above that minimum anyway. Those are all the fertile grounds for a man just to say, you know what, this is not meant to be an endurance race. This kind of whole relationship is meant to be positive and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as it's toxic and unreasonable, who wants to have that for the forever? You know what I mean? So he made there's 2 points made there. So say if it starts off, the relationship starts off well, and then all of a sudden they kind of get this influence which kind of destabilizes things. You can't just hit it with, well, I don't take women seriously. You kind of go down that route. But as soon as things start going left, and you think you can, you know the reason why, then, as I say, you've got to be able to have an upfront, and I know this is not always going to be easy or possible, but you really need to be able to have an upfront adult conversation about where things are going and where your concerns are at. And maybe just keeping your relationship within the household and not discussing it with strangers. Talk about everything else in the world, please, but don't talk about me with somebody else. Just give me that respect and just try and make that boundary. And it's going to be unlikely you're going to do that from the get-go, because you don't know every single obstacle and problem you're going to have from the beginning going forward. You don't even know if the relationship's going to last a month or a year or years or marriage, and sometimes, you know what I mean? So it's hard to say, well, you look for those things at the beginning. You know what I mean? There's only so many boundaries you can put in the beginning. And there's only so many checks you can put in, and I think there's got to be some element of risk that you've got to allow for, basically, over a period of time, that you just hope things work out. But anyway, very interesting.
Whatever you have in most places in the world, and start a new life again. A guy that's worth $40 million that has to give away $20 million isn't that big of a deal to him. He knows how to make that money back. But if a guy's like got a nest egg with a family and a bunch of kids, and they've been together for 12 years, and he's worth $1.5 million, including the value of the house and all that stuff, that's when guys start to get sketchy, right? That's when they're like worried, because, oh shit, I'm only going to be worth $500,000 by the time I've done all this and paid all the lawyer fees and everything. Yeah. So
both lawyer fees, and then you got the kid thing, and when what happened in this example, and and you have a whole, your website's beautiful, and you have everything on there, and you can learn more on this. Just there's a little question with the kids. When you do that, say you're worth that 1.5. And you have a kid, and the woman's going to go with I want full custody, blah, 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 blah. Then you have to deal with that situation too. And I keep harping on this because I know a lot of people going through it, and you're the guy. I mean, this is the guy.
Yeah, I actually just finished a course on divorce, and I put it on my Teachable website, because a lot of people were asking me about divorce. So you can find that there. It's kind of a step-by-step on how to untie the knot without really ruining your life too badly. You got to understand that the deck is stacked up against you if you're a guy. One of the most eye-opening conversations I've ever had with a lawyer is, I just thought, okay, well, marriage isn't working out. Let's just untie the knot. We'll go to court and figure this out. And he's like, whoa, stop. You don't want to go to court. If you have the penis, you're going to lose. I was like, what? Yeah. You're going to lose if you have the penis? Like, that's how I think. Like, hadn't feminism equalized the playing field? Like, women keep saying that they're, they have equal rights and they want more rights. But why is a lawyer telling me that if you have a penis, you're going to lose? So if you're a father, then you're at a disadvantage. So this is one of the many areas in life that men don't contemplate or consider, because when you get married, you take vows, sickness and health, and richer and poorer, and happiness and whatever. It's like, you just think that you're doing the right thing, and it's good to go forever. But women initiate more than 80% of divorces now. It's not men that are leaving marriages, it's mostly women, right? So when men leave, it's actually really bad. But when women leave, it's sometimes because they're bored, or they think they can do better because their committee convinces them of that. So you got to be very, very careful with women. I mean, like, having the right woman in your life can change your life for the better. It really can. But inviting the wrong woman can utterly destroy you if you're not careful.
Be interesting. I was like, just food for thought. And obviously we got our own lives, our own points of view. But as I say, I'm a mature man, these are mature men, we've all got different points of view, we've got a lot of things in common, obviously, and anything which sounds like a red flag probably is. You know what I mean? It's just about whether that is literally, when we say red flag, yeah, but it's not necessarily the kind of the walk away type of situation, because no lady's perfect, but definitely yeah, I think I agree with what they were saying as well earlier on in the piece, where they're just saying that a lot of guys don't really think about any of these intrinsic qualities that you would need in a partner over the long term. And my gosh, that's something that we absolutely have to do. We just tend to go for what is the most pretty thing in the world, and then we live with the regrets for the rest of our lives. So my gosh, if anybody takes anything from this, especially the younger men or people who haven't yet cross that line where they're committed to something long term which they're not happy with, then please do what you already know. Just kind of look at those key variables, those key kind of values, those intrinsic key qualities, in order to have that long-term positive sustainable relationship with somebody who wants to be in it, a feminine person 9 times out of 10, and build from there. So please like, subscribe. That is Steve. I am out. Turn on notifications. That is Steve, and I'm out.